Hi there, I'm Roux. Welcome to my video. Happy holidays, everybody! And in the festive spirit, that's the kind of stories we're gonna read today. Holiday-themed ones that go horribly wrong. With today's stories, Toys for Tots, The Michael Scott of Rolling Pins,
Expensive gifts only?
What do you mean? You're sold out. And a lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. But first, this video shoutout goes to Magdalena Jaworska with your comment. Wait, you've only got one patron? Not on my watch.
Oh, thank you. So excited.
You're awesome. And without further ado, let's get into the stories. Toys for Tots.
Was anyone else really disappointed in the Toys for Tots gifts this year?
It's free? How can anyone be disappointed in receiving any type of help for your children? Christmas isn't about gifts or toys. Beggars can't be choosers. Yeah. Entitled parent insulting volunteers at the Salvation Army for giving them bags full of toys for their kids for Christmas. This isn't about any specific interaction with an entitled parent, but about a general experience with many. My dad had me and my two younger brothers volunteer at the Salvation Army for Christmas when I was in 6th grade. I was in one of the biggest and most crime-filled / poorest cities in my state. He got us there because he was friends with the person running it. I thought it was extremely fun and exciting. My dad's friend, the woman who ran it, let's say Mrs. C, had a giant binder, each page with a profile of a kid with their age and interests. She would turn a page, me and my brothers would see the profile, then we would all go into a room filled with wall-to-wall with thousands of toys, then fill up a large brown paper bag with them. I'm not sure what kids ask for nowadays, but this was in like 2007. And a lot of kids genuinely wanted specific board games and dolls and baby things. Like dolls that are newborn babies you have to take care of. Cute girly things. And boys always wanted action figures and just games or toys with specific themes. So we generally got to give the kids pretty much exactly what they wanted. There was a secret closet there that had a couple of bikes and some iPods, and iTunes gift cards, Nintendo DS related things, etc. The bikes were meant for specific kids that had prior agreements with Mrs. C. And the technology things were for older kids. Mrs. C, who had ran the business for many years, said she only gave those things to children who she was very familiar with and had been coming here for years. She told me,
"When I first started here, I gave an iPod to a mother for her 14-year-old daughter. After I gave it to her, I watched her walk across the street and sell it to someone random for cash to buy drugs. I never made that mistake again."
Then came the day that all the parents would arrive and pick up their bags. My dad let us all skip school so we could be there helping. The parents all lined up at the entrance in front of Mrs. C and my dad. They gave their name, Mrs. C flipped to their page in the binder, yelled out a number, and me and my brothers ran to get the bag with the corresponding number on it. Kids who were receiving bikes and iPods or DS had to go through the side entrance so that no other parents would see that they were getting these things. In previous years, parents would get into actual physical fights with other parents when they believe that they are getting better items than their kid. Immediately, my crazed excitement / joy over the situation was killed. Parents wordlessly snatched their kids' bags out of my hands, never thanked me. I was a cute little girl saying, "Merry Christmas!" to everyone, and only a few of 100 parents said anything back. People came in trying to get toys for their kids even though they had never signed up. There's an October deadline to sign up for this program, and the application process is serious and multi-tiered, and I'm pretty sure it involved background checks.
"There shouldn't be a deadline. My kids deserve a Christmas. How can you be so selfish? Just pull one toy out of that bag over there. It looks really full."
Parents tried to intimidate me into pulling toys from other bags, basically with, "I'm an adult and you're a child, so do as I say," and said things like,
"Do you think that that person deserves a better Christmas than my daughter just because they signed up?"
I heard one mom on her phone speaking in Spanish after she received the bag. I knew basic Spanish, and when I overheard her calling my dad and Mrs. C selfish and greedy, I felt sick to my stomach and like I wanted to cry. A lot of parents opened their bags in front of everyone right as they received them, holding up the line, almost like people in a fast food drive-thru who open their bag while still at the window and open their sandwiches to make sure they're okay. These parents tried to argue about what they received.
My kid doesn't want this doll. They want a video game. They don't want X, they want Y.
When I knew that just about every kid received either exactly what they asked for or something in the realm of what they asked for. I remember keeping a happy expression on the entire time and then crying as soon as we left. My Christmas spirit was destroyed that year. LOL. Not LOL. That's so sad. Also, I have a strong suspicion that those parents either don't care at all what their kids are into and they just want to show off like, oh, look at this expensive thing we have, or they just want to get expensive things so that they don't give it to their kids and just sell it so they can spend the money on themselves. Some people truly should not be parents. The Michael Scott of rolling pins. Now, if any of y'all have seen The Office, amazing show, and that particular episode where Michael buys an iPod for the Secret Santa thing where they're supposed to just spend $20 but he spends like $400, and then he gets like bitterly disappointed when he doesn't get an equal thing back even though he broke the rules. And he then demands that they do like a switcheroo raffle thing instead after everyone's like given out the presents to the people that's supposed to get them. This story definitely reminded me of that. Entitled Dad.
Give your brother your present. He needs it.
The approach of Christmas has reminded me of an incident from last year with my very own entitled dad. It has no explosions or tantrums, just holiday entitlement. It's not the first time he has done something like this. It just didn't work this time. It all happened at my paternal family Christmas party, a few days after Christmas Eve. Everyone was happy, especially me, as I had just finished a bunch of exams. And I just recently learned that I was finally moving from my student housing to an apartment of my own. My dad, entitled Dad, was hosting it, and everything seemed to be going smoothly. At this type of family Christmas party, there's a tradition of playing a gift raffle game. Every family member brings some fun, silly, or useful wrapped presents, and then you roll a dice to claim the presents. Generally a fun game with lots of laughs. When everything was settled, I found that I had won a string of lights and a rolling pin. Awesome, I thought. I finally have a real kitchen to myself, and now I have a rolling pin so I can bake stuff. My stream of thoughts was interrupted by entitled Dad.
Excuse me,
he said in a kind of awkward tone.
I noticed you won the rolling pin.
Yeah, it's perfect for my new kitchen, don't you think?
I actually meant for your brother to win that.
Oh, well, you can't expect people to get specific things when you play gift raffle. People get what they get. Besides, I can definitely use it, so if you bought it, thank you.
I think you should give it to him. He needs it more.
Sorry, but I want it, and I'm keeping it. My brother chimes in. Yeah, it was one fair and square. I really don't mind. Other family members chimed in, agreeing with my brother and I. My dad sat back in his seat and huffed a little. He tried pressuring numerous more times during the evening on both me and my brother, once he had us each separated from the rest of the family.
Have you given your brother the rolling pin yet? Don't you think he needs that rolling pin? And did you get the rolling pin from your brother? I'm sure you'll get it if you ask nicely.
We were almost worried he would try to sneak into my brother's backpack. But fortunately, that didn't happen. He gave my brother a new rolling pin some time later. Since I was being so difficult, as he put it so lovely as we were leaving. And I've been enjoying all the sugar cookies and homemade pizza, made possible by my rolling pin. That's hilarious. It's basically like if Michael Scott was someone's dad, and he was just like, actually, I bought that for someone specific, and this is a gift raffle, but I don't care. Give it to your brother.
Expensive gifts only.
Someone posts on Facebook in the free section looking for something for free. I'm trying to put some presents under the tree for my boys. We've been through a lot since leaving Minneapolis, Minnesota, I don't know, 4 years ago.
2 years ago, we lost everything and we were basically homeless. We've come a long way, but there just hasn't been money for present or even Santa. I've managed a couple of things, but I'm looking for the following. A PS4 in good working order, cheap, hoping for under $100. PS4 games for an 11-year-old. Grand Theft Auto, Minecraft, Pokemon. Legos, preferably new. Minecraft a plus. Apple charging cords, 2. Headphones, gaming type for a serious 17-year-old gamer. Headphones for Apple phones to listen to music, etc. McDonald's, Subway, movie theater gift cards, in multiples of 3 if possible. Books for an 11 to 12-year-old, shirt sizes 14 to 16. Minecraft, Pokemon, dinosaurs, especially. If anyone has these items to either donate or sell very cheap, we sure would appreciate it. Just paying the rent has been hard, and asking for this help is even harder. But this is for my kids, and they deserve good memories and presents. No, it's not all about that, but come on. Who would feel good about Santa not coming or not giving gifts? Would your kids feel left out or different if they get nothing? We had a year like that, and we were thankful we were together and had a meal to share. But it was pretty somber for my troopers. Really, it's all about presents too. And they already got zilch for their birthdays. This single mom is having a hard time with that and just wants to give to her family. Tired of losing and being stole from.
Okay. How can you afford Apple phones that you need those cords for if you have no money? Question mark. Like, not to sound like a total Grinch, but I feel like a lot of these posts, and I've seen so many of them, because like we have like the Norwegian version of Craigslist or something, and a lot of them are like actual like people asking for whatever help they can get, but there are also people who are just like,
I want brand this and brand that, and also like, can we get like the receipt?
aka so they can turn it back in and get the money. And I just get this feeling like these are just the kind of people who are really bad with money, who spend money on things they don't actually need, like, and then Christmas rolls around and they're just like,
strangers, give us free things.
The people who say things like, I want brand this and brand that, don't seem like it's actually because they need it. Then it just seems like, oh, okay. I also think it takes away from the people who actually need help, because there's like posts that are like genuine people who are just really down on their luck and they need something for their kids and they don't care what it is, just like a little help. But when it comes down to like, oh, I want brand this and brand that and give me the receipt, nah honey, you a choosy beggar and I don't like you.
What do you mean? You're sold out.
Entitled Mom Doesn't Get Her Van, Nor Will She Ever, by Rat Pack King. I have worked in the retail and tourism industry for several years. Mainly in transportation, but some in hospitality and business management. Saying that the business I am in is rife with entitled parents and entitled people in general is an understatement. At the time of this story, I had been with the company for a few months. It was starting to get close to the holidays, so my small office was getting busier and busier with more families planning to rent a vehicle rather than take their dad's beat-up 1998 Suburban to Grandma's house. I still was gleaming with positivity about my job, unaware of the horrors that people could turn into when their family vacation is on the line. December of 2016, and Christmas travelers have started piling up outside our doors first thing in the morning. The office opened at 7 a.m., but we were usually there by 6:30. One morning we see a small line of people, which is to be expected. But what stands out from this one is the entitled mother at the front of the line, and her 6 high-spirited children climbing on the railing outside of her office. We managed to get inside the building and get things up and running for the day. My manager greeting entitled mother and letting her know that we will be open in a few more minutes.
What do you mean? We have been standing here for half an hour in the cold. Can't I bring my children in?
My manager sort of blinks and says of course they can come in, it will just be a few more moments before everything is up and running. My 2 other coworkers and I look at each other and just internally flatline, before my coworker gives me a knowing look and mouths, this is gonna be a fun one. My manager brings the woman and her children in, while we work to get the computers booted and the office in running shape. For 15 minutes, this woman repeatedly asking if we're done and can she
Get my damn car yet?
while her kids use our lobby chairs as a jungle gym. Admittedly, the kids were pretty cute and staying relatively calm. Once the computers are booted up, my manager has me look up the woman's reservation. I say hello and entitled mom just ignores me. Not uncommon, but I continue to get the system started. I ask for her name and she spits it at me while shooing one of her kids away from her legs. Her reservation was for a minivan, which we were completely sold out of. How she even managed to make the reservation, I don't know. But it was time-stamped as being made only an hour before we got to the store. When I tried to inform her of this, you could see her blood start to boil.
Are you kidding me? I made this reservation ages ago, and I need this van for me and my children to visit my mother. It's Christmas time. How could you be sold out?
Me, being the newbie, start to panic a little, and my manager, we'll call him James, steps back up to the front after noticing this. James: Ma'am, please don't yell at my employees. We are sorry we don't have your minivan at this time. You are correct, it is Christmas time, so we have been sold out. But if you wait a few moments, I can try to call another location to secure one for you.
How could you not have one here waiting for me?
Well, it appears as if your reservation was made just this morning, and we've been sold out of minivans for a few days now. If you have a seat, I will gladly find one for—
This better be quick. My kids haven't had breakfast, and they're starving.
The kids were fine, still running around and playing in the lobby. James asks me to call the other location, thankfully only a few minutes away, and see about getting an extra van. While I'm on the phone with the office, entitled mother is mumbling loudly about how horrible our service has been, and how she expected us to
make our mistake worth her time.
I managed to get the other manager on the line, and he says he has no vans left, but he does have an extra Suburban we can use. I notify James, and he tells one of the drivers in our office to get ready to go grab it. Entitled mother must have heard me say what vehicle it was, because she is immediately up at the counter, demanding that it have leather and heated seats, so
my children can be comfortable for the long ride.
By this point, we all just wanted her gone, so we were trying to make this as quick and efficient of a process as possible. James tells me to take her license and process her paperwork, and we can attach the vehicle to her contract once it arrives. I pull open her reservation, type in her driver's license number, hit search, and James? He turns back around and looks at the screen. A very large warning message has popped up, explaining that this woman is essentially on our blacklist for damaging a vehicle, a luxury vehicle, to the tune of $25,000 worth of repairs, all of which have yet to be paid. And this claim was about 2 years old. James, now in a much more stern tone: I'm sorry, ma'am, but I'm afraid we won't be able to get that vehicle for you today. It looks like you may have had a previous issue with another car back in 2014.
I already paid for that. It was only a couple of $100 anyways. Ask my lawyer. He will tell you.
Ma'am, unfortunately we can't.
Your job isn't to tell me what you can and can't do. Your job is to get me into that flippin' car.
James, now picking up the phone with a smile. Actually, ma'am, my job is to weigh whether or not someone is trustworthy enough to put into one of our vehicles. You clearly are not. I will have to ask you to leave, or I will be calling the police. Entitled mother does a panicked little shuffle, swiping her ID off the counter and gathering her children to get out of the door. I guess she had figured this would happen because a big old clunker of an SUV had pulled up outside of her office, and she hurriedly shoved her kids in it before the driver peeled out of the parking lot. My coworker was right. That was a fun one. I find this amazing. First of all, whose fault is it that your kids haven't had breakfast? Oh yeah, you. Why is that an argument point like, my children haven't had breakfast, give me a vehicle now? How you're gonna twist that into your favor when you're the one responsible for that is amazing to me. Also, how are you able to damage a car to the tune of $25,000? That's like more than the average car, right? Like, I've watched Judge Judy. People get cars for cheaper than that. Like, what the? How is that even possible? Although it does sound like, by the old clunker thing, maybe they're the kind of people who don't treat their own things very well, and then that's exactly how they treat other people's property. A lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. She always posts about being short on rent, but brags about buying the best makeup palettes and accessories. When people try to help her, her responses are essentially this:
I need about $1,000 by the end of the month at a bare minimum. I only have 20 hours of work this week as a waitress. Then next week is flippin' Christmas. Can I just go ahead and off myself already? Or that's about my only fallback plan at this point. Aside from going homeless. Girl, my house is barely big enough for Damien and I, but I will come and get you before I let you be homeless on the streets of Savannah. I would rather die than be in Augusta or near it.
Oh my. Entitled and rude and greedy. I don't know. Should basically be the title of this video. That sums it up nicely. That's all I have for you guys this time. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday, whatever holiday you celebrate or don't. I hope you're having a spectacular, sparkly, wonderful, glittery time. Sending you hugs and kisses. See you next time. On Fridays, I post every Friday. Remember to subscribe, and you can send in your own stories on my website, link in the description. But don't forget to join my giveaway though, announcing the winner at the end of this year. Ooh! And thank you so much to my wonderful patrons, Katbra, and my new patron, Magdalena Jaworska. Awesome people, awesome people. Oh yeah! See you next time.